And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Thursday, October 3rd, 2024. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I provide in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. It'll bring you to a map of the continental U.S. If you point and click anywhere on this map, it will give you a very specific forecast for any location in the country, including any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories. We also have area to click on Hawaii or Alaska to the lower left to bring up more detailed maps for those states, and then the territories along the bottom. A quick check, though, of the map on this Thursday afternoon. We have frost advisories and freeze warnings for the upper Midwest, western Great Lakes, back through Minnesota, the Dakotas, and then a high wind watch. We have a situation setting up. There'll be some strong gusty winds across areas of Montana, western Dakotas, and then a large area of critical fire weather conditions for the potential for rapid fire starts and spread. So we have red flag warnings covering much of the Intermountain northern west. So this is, again, very warm, dry air mass in place over this area. Still have heat, excessive heat warnings for areas of western Arizona, southern California, and near Vegas. But here we are watching a powerful Bering Sea low that actually is the remnants of a tropical storm. It has high winds and high seas. There's a high wind warning that's still in effect for the central and eastern Aleutians until very late tonight and into the day, eastern Aleutians through 8 o'clock Friday evening. Also, the system's going to cause the potential for some high surf running 2 to 4 feet above normal along northern Kuskokwim Bay. And then we've had since yesterday and then today, we've had 2 strong X flares pop off the sun. These are sending 2 CMEs toward Earth. There's a geomagnetic storm watch for Category 3 geomagnetic storm, which would likely trigger pretty decent aurora displays across not just Alaska, but down into the lower 48. Wouldn't be surprised if especially the second X flare could trigger even a severe geomagnetic storm. But taking a look at conditions, over in Dutch Harbor at the Haystack there, wind and rain, 43 degrees. I would have tried to show you an image from out of St. Paul, but their camera was down, not updating properly, but St. Paul had some wind gusts to near 60 miles an hour. Along the north end of Kuskokwim Bay, Kwagilingok, with wind, rain, and fog, 45 degrees, winds gusting there over 50 miles an hour. Whereas in the central interior, Nenana, clear sky, 42 degrees, a great place to look for the northern lights. And this is going to be one of the choice locations further north inland away from the systems spreading clouds that are going to go up into south central. So better chance there tonight and even tomorrow night would probably be the better chance for that first CME to really get cranking up. And Ketchikan, light rain, 49 degrees, and some more showers will be moving in here later Friday and over the weekend as the frontal system associated with that deep Bering Sea low works its way across the Gulf. So here's the latest on Alaska aurora and sky viewing. We had 2 X-class solar flares, one a 7.1 and the other 9.1 happen within a day of each other. And this will likely trigger strong geomagnetic storms. I would doubt if especially the X9 might even have a potential to create a severe geomagnetic storm. So watch for active aurora displays if the skies are clear at your location starting tonight into the early morning hours, as well as over the course of the weekend. It looks like arrival will be on October 4th and 6th, so that could be in our early morning skies those 2 days. Good news is, as far as dark skies, new moon was just the other day on Wednesday, October 2nd. So get away from any town lights, and skies should be good and dark if you have clear conditions. The other thing is we have a comet, Tsuchinshan Atlas, will likely become visible in the western sky after sunset later next week, around after the 10th, certainly the 12th of October. Hopefully we'll have clear skies, but it's going to be very low on the horizon, only 4-6 degrees above the horizon after sunset for a brief time. So I'll have more information on that as the time draws near. But the biggest problem is getting clear skies this time of year. with the exception of unless you live up here in the interior. But the area is under the gun now with advisories, warnings. We have a high surf advisory here for northern Kuskokwim Bay. As I mentioned, water levels could be 2 to 4 feet above the normal high tide, especially during the high tide cycle coming up here through Friday morning. And then back here out across the Aleutians, we still have high wind warnings. And the central Aleutians, the high wind warnings in effect until 1 a.m. Friday morning, and then throughout the day until 8 p.m. Friday for the eastern Aleutians. And some wind gusts could be in excess 60 to near 70 miles an hour, and especially along some of the higher terrain. With this area of low pressure, it's currently located about right here as of Thursday mid-afternoon. It's going to take a track slowly southeastward like this and then dip down and come secondary development as we get into the weekend. It'll come up into the Gulf. Some of the winds were gusting to near hurricane force out here north of the western Aleutians. One of the buoys here recorded waves 40 feet high with gusts up near hurricane force. So again, a very potent system, but it is going to slowly start to weaken now. It's actually at its deepest extent right now. I'll show you that in a moment. So we have a couple different features. Curls in the clouds. There's one area of low pressure that's winding down here off of the Panhandle coast, another one down here south of Haida Gwaii. And then here is the wrapped up system, the strongest of them, out here in the central bearing. And the central pressure has been down near 950 millibars. That's about as low as it's going to get. And it's going to slowly start to fill as it gradually works its way southeastward. This front will work its way eastward into the Gulf as we go through late Friday and on Saturday. These two weaker areas of low pressure, this one will tend to just kind of wash out, and this one will go further south and east off of British Columbia and toward the lower 48 Pacific Northwest, and then just this weak ridge of high pressure out over northwest Canada, the Yukon Northwest Territories. But this is by far the most notable weather feature. Has a broad circulation covering much of the Bering Sea and coming up into the west and southern mainland. Here's the bad news, is the clouds are going to be increasing out ahead of this front, so the clearing that's been prevalent here across south central the past few days is going to be giving way to cloud cover, so the chances of seeing the northern lights, if they actually do come out, will be going downward. If you don't have a shot at it early this Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night will probably be clouded out. So unfortunately, that's the way things tend to go in the fall time here. And by the time we get into Friday afternoon, the occluded front will be pushing up on into the Gulf. This low slowly filling tomorrow afternoon on Friday. And then Saturday afternoon, we find the system secondary low taking shape southeast of the Alaska Peninsula in the North Pacific and south of Kodiak Island. And this feature will gradually kind of pinwheel back up into the lower Gulf and then pull back to the west and kind of sit and spin over the Gulf into early next week. And so initially the old occluded front will have provided some gusty winds and rain along the Gulf Coast, snow in the intercoastal mountains. And then as this secondary low in front comes in, it will renew some of the precipitation and gusty winds along the Gulf Coast. Further north, a trough resides along and north of the Alaska Range. Skies this way mostly clear to partly cloudy, so drier conditions across the interior. Looking at temperatures, lows tonight could be down in the 30s here at Skagway, Juneau, mid-upper 30s, otherwise above 40 in the south. 29 at Gulkana and Glen Allen. Readings will be down below freezing where skies are still partly cloudy with winds holding up a bit and clouds increasing. Lows should stop near 40 degrees Anchorage Bowl. Friday afternoon, we're looking at highs generally in the 50s throughout the entire region, with the exception of maybe only stopping in the 40s. Places like Cordova, Valdez, and up there toward Glen Allen, otherwise lower 50s. And with cloud cover advancing further north and east, we expect lows again generally to be above 40 in much of the Panhandle. Still could be down below freezing in the Copper River Basin, but near 40 degrees from Talkeetna down through Anchorage, Kenai, Soldotna. And temperature Saturday afternoon generally back up in the lower 50s across most of areas there of south central, and again low to mid 50s across the Panhandle, with again showers and breezier conditions overspreading along the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle. For the interior, we're going to see some lows down well into the teens, normally cold spots. Northway was 10 above this Thursday morning. Again, this area here has a better chance of seeing at least clear to partly cloudy skies, so you have a shot at seeing the aurora tonight and probably Friday night as well. Back to the west, though, the front's working its way kind of east-northeastward, and as a result, we expect with the cloud cover and some rain, temperatures above freezing, 40-ish there at Nome, and then as we go into Friday afternoon, might squeak out a 50-degree reading around Fairbanks. Otherwise, the Yukon Valley generally in the 40s, out through the Seward Peninsula. Up across the east slopes of the Brooks Range, temperatures generally only in the 30s to near freezing for highs, but then along the Arctic coast, mid-30s. Low Saturday morning, we'll see some teens along the Brooks Range and normal cold spots here across east central interior along the Alcan border. But back toward the west, readings should generally stay above freezing in the Seward Peninsula and along the lower Yukon coastline, with highs again generally in the 40s between the Alaska Range and Brooks Range, with maybe near 50 there. At Fairbanks, coolest readings areas of the interior North Slope and along the spine of the central western Brooks Range. For the southwest interior, lows tonight near 40 around Bethel on up toward Anvik and McGrath. Maybe a little cooler there to 36, but down along the Alaska Peninsula, readings should stay 40 plus, and then daytime highs generally in the 40s, upper 40s. There could be a 50-degree reading back out toward the central western Aleutians, and possibly here lower portion of the Alaska Range around False Pass, Cold Bay. And then temperatures Saturday morning stay above freezing across the southwest interior. Any precipitation within this area, with the exception of higher elevations, some of the mountains, will be snow, obviously, but at least coastal areas, lower elevation areas should stay all rain. And temperatures Saturday, generally 40s, a few 50-degree readings could happen. Bethel, King Salmon up near, say, going up toward McGrath, as well as out back to the west toward Adak. So looking at the 6 to 10-day temperature outlook, October 9th through the 13th, temperatures are expected to average above normal over areas of the northeast mainland and along the Alcan border, especially from Fairbanks up toward Arctic Village. Below normal temperatures along areas of the west coast, including St. Lawrence, the lower Yukon Delta, Nunavik Island, and especially down across the eastern half of the Aleutian chain. Near normal temperatures through a large swath of the southwest and west interior, through Anchorage, Kenai Peninsula, all the way down in across the Panhandle. Precipitation, though, is expected to average above normal over the southeast mainland, northern and northeastern Gulf Coast into the Panhandle, and drier than normal conditions expected across northern and especially western areas of the state through the lower Yukon Basin. So this would imply that the storm track, the feed of moisture coming in out of the North Pacific, is going to favor areas along the Gulf. So as a result, we expect precipitation to average above normal over the southeast mainland into the Panhandle October 9th through the 13th, given that storm track.